There was really only one way to do this project, and that was to tack everything together in the field, because it's 4 stories of railing and it's rather tight, and the stairs are not uniform. Some flights had higher risers than other flights. The lengths were all different. So I could have taken all the measurements I wanted to, but it still probably would not have fit if we built these in the shop and then tried to install it. So we've done several rail systems like this before. The large, what we call the pickup sticks rail that we did for a customer out at the lake, was built this same way, where we set the posts, mitered them at the right height, and then cut and mitered and fit and tacked all the cap rail all the way down. So it was 2 long days of head scratching and measuring and mitering and cutting. A lot of back and forth trips to the saw. Meanwhile, the homeowner was very interested in what we were doing, and he's a super nice guy. So he was hanging out, asking questions. I was happy to share with my process, and it was very vulnerable. He was, it was sort of like I was very on the spot, but it's time to lean into my capabilities and trust myself and trust the process and know that what I'm doing is the right thing. He was very happy as it started to come together. The homeowner was very excited with how it was starting to look. You can see it went all the way down, all 4 stories. Everything was, the posts were 2x2 steel tubing, and the cap rails were 1x2 steel tubing. And everything was cut and mitered on a little $250 band chop saw that I set up on the back of the Isuzu, which we've used as a metal table before for stuff like this. It's not anywhere near flat, but it works. It's Old Faithful right there. The welder of choice for this type of job was, of course, a TIG welder, because it wouldn't shoot spatter all over the place. And we happen to have this little Power Arc 161 STH from Everlast, which is super small and lightweight, but also really feature dense. It's got pulse, it's got upslope, downslope, all that stuff. The tank of argon is outside the house. I went to a local welding supply store and got a 25-foot hose so that I didn't have to carry the argon tank around with me. The argon tank just lived outside, and you could run the hose in the door, and it was long enough for me to reach everywhere I needed to reach. So it's actually kind of slick. As long as the homeowner doesn't mind bright lights and a little bit of sparks here and there, it's a good way to do it. I had fire blankets, and of course, when there was any welding in a common area, I would essentially yell 4, like you do on a golf course, and say, hey, don't stare at the lights. We got the whole system tacked together in place, and then we slice them at the transition. So the whole point of this was to then cut them apart so that they can leave the house easily and also fit into the powder coater's booth. So you can see here where the yellow tape was, we cut all the transitions right in half, as straight as we could with a really thin kerf bandsaw blade. So we pulled the rails out of the customer's house, threw them on the truck, got them back to the shop, gave the project over to Spike and Aaron to figure out the pickets, and then Aaron set to work cutting, mitering, fitting, and welding in all the pickets. Tacked everything together first and then fully welded. That way there was minimal warpage. Over to you, boys.
Came from my cargo shorts.
They give you pockets.
And kidney stones.
For real?
Too. Oh yeah.
So what are we working on here today?
We are working on some railing that Spike designed. Really, Spike deserves all the credit, good and bad, on these. So let's see if he did a good job. Are these laid out right?
So these are railings that are for a 4-story staircase that Tay built in place, because they're all gonna, at the end, be connected, but we couldn't just carry out 4 stories of railing out at the same time. So they were made to be, they were made on site, made to come apart and then go back together. And what we're doing, what we are, Aaron and I, together, are fabricating the rest of the
Keyboard warrior over here.
Mr. Keyboard Warrior. Picket's gonna be a cool little V design to match the house aesthetics, which is very like postmodern.
Yeah, with the deep mid-century undertone.
Mid-century modern, thank you.
So you can drive yourself a little bit crazy staring at the actual pickets and making sure that everything, it's a little bit harder because everything has a little extra on either end. It's not cut to length specifically.
Right.
But I feel like based off your drawings, this is correct.
Okay.
And I just want to verify that before I send it, because order of operations, it's pretty well tacked. I want to tack the pickets in place and then kind of weld the whole thing together.
So I know this is not exact. I'm assuming that.
Oh, it is exact.
Is it going to be, like, I see that one start in that corner. Is this one going to end close to that corner?
That was one of my questions. Like right now, that's kind of the end. Do we want to try and fit another picket in there? It's less space than any of the other pickets have in there right now.
I think, like, it would be great to kind of move this.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of shorts and one long at the end to play around.
It would be great if it could end, you know, close to like that. But if that's just how the spacing works.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
I don't
just
mind
need to
this.
math it out.
I don't mind that gap. Yeah, like if you want me to, I can kind of, I can take all the dimensions, run it through CAD, but we want all the V's to be the same.
Yeah,
and that's the real.
And that's the issue, is like we're gonna have these literally, it's 4 stories in a very small space. So visually, you have a lot of lines going on. I doubt you would ever be able to pick it apart.
Pause for applause.
However, I don't want to run that risk of having a lack of uniformity in the pickets.
Yeah, I would, if you got the right spacing, like if you can ensure that all the V's are the same, I think go with it. A small gap like this is not going to be a huge deal.
If there's any erring on the side of making it look uniform or making it wrap, I kind of feel like we should, just to kind of eliminate that. But
I think
you're the designer.
That's a trap. I think if
this is your baby, this is all riding on your shoulders. Anything that I do is reflective of you. So tell me what to do.
Oh my God. Wow, you're really...
No one is going to go, hey, Aaron designed some great railing on that one. They're going to say, Spike did a terrible job on that railing.
Who would have thought that this would have been my most pressured job so far?
So what's the answer?
I think if you do believe that like that corner draws a lot of focus, then go with that. This gap does not bother me at all. And I think that once you start tacking this in, because it's going to be tacked in this corner going up, I think everything's going to naturally sort of shift.
And then I'm going to do the exact same with that one.
Yeah, I think that's going to look great. Okay. Yeah, I think go with that. So does that answer your question? Contractor boy.
It does, yeah.
Okay.
Walker was giving an analogy earlier or something. It's just like having a toddler. And I honestly couldn't tell if he was trying to relate himself to the toddler in the analogy or the parent.
If it were Walker, it was probably he was the toddler.
I think he thought he was the parent. I thought he was the toddler in the equation. So
That's pretty telling.
Hey Aaron, I'm gonna need to see you in my office.
I don't like that.
We got some tape to review.
Dr. Spikenstein.
What?
Oh, nothing. Actually, you know what? I want you to see this too. Come here. Come here, close the door. I want you both to listen to this and tell me what I was talking about.
Walker was giving an analogy. Toddler in the analogy or the parent?
If it were Walker, it was probably he was the toddler.
I think he thought he was the parent. I thought he was the toddler.
That's pretty telling.
What was this analogy I was giving?
I don't recall. It was about toddlers. I really don't remember.
I think it
I
was
really-
about desk cleanliness.
I really don't remember what the.
I don't know.
We're not just playing around.
Why don't you think on that?
What was that?
You remember what that was about? The analogy where Walker was a toddler?
What? What are we talking about?
Did
I film this?
Yeah. That's why I'm like,
just for two.
what kind of analogy was I coming up with?
Maybe you're giving off those vibes.
Oh, you guys are trying to softball this to me because I'm the toddler, huh?
Hey, Walker, I know you're
Because I
irritable right
can
now.
remember everything I've ever said.
I know you're irritable right now, bud. So I just need you to take it down a notch because we all love you and we're here for you.
Like you got Spike eating breakfast Cheetos. That's what it's come to.
What is going on?
Yeah, Spike, get it together. Jesus Christ.
You got Cheetos in your beard.
No,
Like, was there
Toddler
any
analogy.
fork swords?
All right. You guys are dismissed. I had to get to the bottom.
I'm gonna be racking my brain for the rest of the day. What do you think of your design? Is it everything you dreamed?
I would have drawn it a lot better. Yeah, it looks great. Is there a reason, like from the fabrication side, that you coat this one, they did that miter cut to kind of fit up against this rather than just fitting it up against that?
Because they're both at a parallel and we have our center point that we're trying to meet there, that was my main focus, is splitting the difference on the thickness of that
Okay.
as being the center point.
Gotcha. So the center point, that center point is kind of the center of the center of that bar coming in.
Just visually, the footprint that the two bars come in.
Okay. I mean, it looks great.
I hear hesitation in your voice on that.
Because it just seems like it's a little thicker. Like I wonder how it would have looked if if they came together like that, where the V was centered at, like went all the way down to the bottom.
Okay. So,
That was my initial thought. This does not look bad. It was just,
oh wait, keep those.
yeah.
Now do that and put it at an angle, like mirroring where they need to be to meet up.
So like that.
Look at your top.
Okay. So it basically would have been the same, essentially. Okay. Great. Yeah, it looks great to me.
Where are we at with the
It doesn't sound great, but we're getting through it. But cutting the rest of my long pickets right now. I'm gonna change up my stops, cut some short pickets after that, and then hopefully my math was right and I don't have to cut any more pickets because it's no fun, but we'll see. Let's do some pickets.
All right, real quick. What are we working on today? Where are we at?
I'm still working on our kind of MCM inspired railing we've got going here. We've got all of them tacked on these two, which are the longest and the shortest, and then almost done with that one, and then we'll tack it in there and then flip it up, tack it on the 90 section, and then check everything, clamp it down, and send it. The general plan. Happy Wednesday.
Aaron, where are we at?
We're almost there. We're almost there. I'm getting ready to cut the last of the pickets. Everything so far has been on an angle, and the final section is this weird little cutout cubby section at the very top of their stairs, and these are not at an angle. So now I need to cut some fresh pickets at new lengths, so that all works. This should go pretty quickly, and then everything's tacked, and then I'll pull Spike off from whatever board game he's messing around with to come in here and see if it's exactly as he intended it. And if it is, we'll send it, and then we'll send it to powder. So we'll see if Spike's happy. I haven't fully welded anything yet. Everything is only tacked right now. And that's just in case something doesn't turn out. Like, I want to be able to kind of place these things and sequence them to make sure that like it makes sense the way everything's laid out. And by tacking them, that allows everything to stay in place until I'm 100% confident that the incredibly high maintenance Spike Geffert will be pleased. Comment section's gonna light me up with this. That's like good. Point out what's different on it?
These, a little bit.
No. So I did it from the center out, like a Tyler would do. And what we ended up with is slightly more space on the two ends than every other.
Oh, I know.
But what it achieves is that.
No, this looks great. This looks awesome. You know what? Maybe one day you'll get an attaboy.
That's all I need is hope.
My dad used to say. He didn't say much to me.
I don't know. I didn't have one.
Well, don't make it real.
Yeah, my dad too.
My dad was really nice to me. He didn't know his dad.
Beautiful day in Southwest Virginia.
Oh my God, it is not. You get a lot of rain. Started last night because Debbie's coming to town, which fits the mood for cutting new pickets. Put some pickets in yesterday. Thought we were on the right path, but just one of those things in fabrication and how things go together mechanically and how that interacts with aesthetics, balance, and spacing.
Which is also why we tack weld.
This is also why we tack weld. Great point. But cut out the pickets because they were spaced the same as the other pickets, but also kind of not the same because the openings are the same, but because it's a shorter run, it's actually a little bit wider. Semantics, somewhat, but aesthetics, semantics are a different story. So, cut some new pickets. Gonna be adding a couple more in there. We're going from, I believe, 8 to 10, and that's what we're gonna work on today. So, you know, the hard part about some of this stuff is like, I could have gone to lunch yesterday, taken the rest of the day off, relaxed, had a great day, and started my day today and be further ahead than where I am right now. And that's just one of those things in life where it's like, it doesn't feel good. Can't really wrap that up any nicer. But what are you gonna do about it? Start where you're at. Let's start today.
Where are we at, Grinder?
Download.
Whatever just happened was great.
It's great. It's all great. Everything's fine. Got the pickets back in now. I'm gonna be honest. They look a little crowded to me. But they're in there per the spec. The whole conundrum around this is, where is the focal point? You know, like, is it, I understand the logic on the center of this being the spacing being equal from the center. To my eye, my brain tries to find a reference point. Like, I don't see this in space as much as I see it in relation to this reference point. And that's where the spacing differentiates. That's where, yes, if we were to draw a straight line this way, the spacing works out. But that's not what we have here, and that's not what you see. So in my head, it almost, even though this is correct, I feel like the slightly more spaced out version looks more seamless. But I've also been staring at this too long and have done it multiple times now, so I am not an unbiased source. But I'm gonna wait on final approval from the big guy on this one, making sure that he's happy with that. That is the correct spacing that we discussed, and once we get that approval, be good to go on that. Right now, I'm kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern before we send everything, and when I say send, I mean just welding up all these pickets entirely and then welding the frame. But doing that requires some fixturing and kind of cleaning the table and resetting. So in the meantime, before I run out and grab some lunch, I'm just going to fix this handle that we built in the field. I say we, it was Tay built in the field, that comes down and executes this way. Because it was in the field, not built on a fixture table, it was just pulled a little bit. So I'm cutting those tacks, realigning, flattening it down, making sure it's all flat and in phase, and then we'll re-weld that, and I'm gonna go on break.
Word. And we're back on this build.
Yay!
What's going on with the rails today?
Finishing it. That's what's going on. We're almost there. It's gonna go fast now. Got one ready for powder. This one should be ready for powder very, very shortly. And then 2 more shorties, and then it's on to the next thing. So I'm ready to send them out into the world. And by world, I mean powder. See you on the other side.
Where are we at?
Just about done with this one. I'm just doing some of these transitions right here where your hand's going to be constantly touching it. I don't want to feel a weld right there. I want that transition to be nice and smooth. So just trying to hit those spots, trying to make it nice and seamless, give you a nice hand feel as we go up and down the stairs. But this one's pretty much done. Getting ready to switch to the shorter runs now.
Pretty much done with this one. Just gotta finish that final one, which should be no problem. one super cut of just me saying, well, let's get finished, it's no problem. I'm looking over, just trying to make sure that we're not missing any little weld BBs. These little inglorious bastards that stick to kind of everything, including my hands often. No, they're just little molten bits of splatter that typically don't come off in the, here's a good example. Typically don't come off in the sandblasting process, so it's gonna go through there. I like to use a wood chisel, like a small one, just a beat up one, and just kind of knock them off. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it's enough effort that sandblasting won't get them off. So want to make sure we get all those, because there's nothing worse than like having a nice powder coated surface that you're feeling and it just feels great, and then you come to one of those and it's just like it's like a rock under your skateboard wheel, if that makes sense to you. I know it does. So gonna finish up this one and then knock out that one, and then I'm gonna say send it to powder. However, we do have one additional step, which is coming up with a mechanism with which to lock these together, because these are 4 flights going down. We obviously couldn't build them in place and kind of like corkscrew it out of the house because there's a roof on the house. If there wasn't a roof on the house, we could just kind of twist it and take it up and bring it straight here and finish building it. But we had to be able to separate those in some manner, which we built it and then cut it. You can see on either end of this, there's yellow tape. That's where we wrapped around, marked our center lines. And to join that back, we're gonna have to do some kind of plug-in, like socket lug kind of situation where it fits in there mechanically, but also seamlessly. So I'll let you know what we figure out. Stay tuned.
Where are we at?
What a beautiful day. Hey, guess what? Rails are done. So, today, gonna work on how we get these things to match up together. We'll plug in here, plug in there, butt together. Well, this right here, fit in on both sides. Going to mark these out and tap, drill and tap these to where we have a little threaded surface that on the underside we can do like a little blind Allen key. We'll screw into that and hold it. So minimal form sticking out, but it should secure everything nice and keep everything in phase. We'll see how it works. I don't know, but I'm gonna be drilling and tapping some holes today. That's my plan. So let's see how many taps I break.
Very organized. Time to install some rails.
Woo!
All right, so we are heading to a lovely customer's house to install these really cool rails that we built at the shop, and I tacked the frames together on site using a little 110 volt TIG welder, the Everlast 161 STH. And it went very well. It was rather tedious. It took me a few days, but I'm quite proud of how that went. And then brought it back to the shop, and Aaron finished up all the pickets and all the finishing touches. So we got them built. We got them powder coated by Lucas over at Powder Coating Creations, of course. And now we've got them back. The customer has since restained and painted their stair frames black instead of blue, and so they're ready for us to bring them in, install them, and boy, I hope they fit like they came out. You know, the whole point of building this in place was so they are exact fits. So barring any major oversights or warpage, they should fit pretty good. So we'll see when we get there, and you'll see it happen as we see it happen. So strap in.
Yeah, I think it came out really good. You guys did a really great job.
Thank you, man. I am rather pleased. All right, final inspection. Oh yeah, that's rock solid now.
Yeah, I didn't realize how weak the other one was now that this one's...
Yeah, and you don't really think about it. You're kind of always used to rails kind of wobbling a little bit, but
Yeah.
but now it's, I think the railing's holding the stairs together now. That's great.
64 years old, take anything that we get.
There you go. All right, we'll clean up, get out of your hair, and if you're happy, we're happy.
Oh yeah, I'm thrilled.
Cool.
Came out better than I expected. I mean, I knew it'd be good, but you know,
You never really
yeah, like I don't know if it's going to be too tall because the other one was shorter. Is it you know?
Right.
But no, I think it's perfect.
He said the P word.
I like the spacing on the I don't know, pickets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that was something else. Is like, how's that going to work? And I didn't know how they'd run. I thought maybe they'd run this way as opposed to vertical. Which I mean, they're kind of vertical.
We talked about that a while, and I think among other factors, the influence was there's a straight section.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So if you have a straight section of vertical pickets, you should probably keep it all the way down. That way it looks, instead of it going straight and then like tilting and coming down.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. Looking at it, I mean, that's the way it should be, just the way you guys did it.
Perfect. Damn. Did you guys get that?